It's me, Mario!
He's a global icon. In fact, a survey in the early 90s found he was more recognizable to American kids than Mickey Mouse. He's a hero to millions, the face of a multi-billion-dollar empire, and a true king of video games. His name is Mario. But the character who defined an entire industry didn't start out as a hero. He wasn't even a plumber. And his name wasn't Mario. The story of how the star of an 80s arcade game became a household name is one of the most unlikely tales in entertainment. It's a story of failed licensing deals, creative workarounds, and a very demanding landlord. This is the true story of Mario. It all starts, not in the magical Mushroom Kingdom, but with a different pop culture icon, Popeye the Sailor Man. In the early 1980s, a young artist at Nintendo named Shigeru Miyamoto was tasked with creating the company's next big arcade hit. He was inspired by the classic Popeye cartoons, that timeless love triangle between a hero, a damsel, and a big brute of a villain. Nintendo tried to get the official license for the characters, but the deal fell through. So, with no choice but to create his own, Miyamoto swapped Popeye for a carpenter, Olive Oil for a captured girlfriend, and Bluto for a giant barrel-tossing ape. The game was Donkey Kong, and the hero, the little carpenter at the bottom of the screen, was a character known only as Jumpman. Jumpman wasn't a grand vision. He was a practical solution. In the era of 8-bit graphics, creating a recognizable human figure was a serious challenge. Miyamoto, a designer and not a programmer, had to get creative. He gave the character a large nose and a thick mustache so that a mouth wouldn't need to be animated. He put a cap on his head to avoid the difficulty of rendering hair. And he dressed him in bright red overalls to make his arm movements pop against the dark background. Every single one of Mario's iconic features was just a clever fix for a technical problem. The game, Donkey Kong, was a smash hit. But the character of Jumpman was far from a superstar. Back in Japan, his creator had internally nicknamed him Mr. Video, thinking he could be a go-to character to drop into different games, like a director making a cameo in his own films. He never expected this little digital man to become a household name. The name that would change everything came from a completely unexpected source. As Nintendo of America prepared to release Donkey Kong in the United States, they were renting a warehouse in Tukwila, Washington, from a real estate developer named Mario Segale. As the legend goes, one day Segal came to the office demanding late rent from the company's president. The Nintendo employees, trying to think of better names for their characters, heard the name Mario, and a light bulb went off. It was perfect. And so the name Mario started appearing in promotional materials, and Jumpman the Carpenter had his new identity. The man himself, Mario Segal, was a private person who mostly shied away from the fame his name brought. When asked about it years later, he joked that he was still waiting for my royalty checks. He passed away in 2018 at the age of 84, but his name is forever immortalized in pop culture. With a new name, Mario was ready for his own adventure. In 1983, Nintendo released the arcade game Mario Brothers. This was a pivotal moment. The game was set in the sewers of New York, filled with pipes and strange creatures. To fit the setting, Mario's profession was changed from a carpenter to a plumber. And, most importantly, he was no longer alone. Mario Brothers introduced the world to his taller, green-clad younger brother, Luigi. For the first time, Mario was the star of his own game. But his journey to superstardom had only just begun. In 1983, the video game industry was in freefall. A flood of low-quality games had oversaturated the market, causing a catastrophic crash that saw industry revenue in North America plummet by an estimated 97%. It looked like video games were just a passing fad. But in Japan, Nintendo saw an opportunity. In 1985, they launched their new console in America, the Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES. Bundled with it was a game that would become the face of the industry's revival and turn its hero into a legend: Super Mario Bros. Super Mario Bros. Was a revolution. While most games were still stuck on a single screen, Miyamoto and his team created a vibrant scrolling world. For the first time, Players could run and jump through sprawling levels filled with secrets, enemies, and power-ups. The goal was simple: run to the right, stomp on enemies, and rescue Princess Toadstool from the evil Turtle King Bowser. The gameplay was intuitive. The controls were precise, and the feeling of momentum was just pure joy. It was, in a word, fun. The impact was immediate and monumental. Super Mario Bros. Became the killer app for the NES, convincing millions of families to bring a video game console back into their homes. It went on to sell over 40 million copies, making it one of the best-selling games of all time. It didn't just sell consoles, it defined a genre. The side-scrolling platformer became the dominant style of the 8-bit era, with countless games following the blueprint that Mario laid out. More than that, Super Mario Bros. Helped save the home video game industry from collapse. It restored the confidence of both retailers and consumers, proving that games could be high-quality, creative, and endlessly entertaining. Mario was no longer just a character. He was the mascot of a resurrected industry, a symbol of Nintendo's dominance, and the hero who brought video games back from the brink. His face was everywhere, and the world couldn't get enough. By the late 80s, Mario was a certified phenomenon. Mario Mania was in full swing, and it was time for the Plumber to leap off the game screen and into other media. His first major stop was television. In 1989, the Super Mario Bros. Super Show premiered. It was a strange but memorable mix of live-action and animation. The live-action segments featured former pro wrestler Captain Lou Albano as a wisecracking Mario and actor Danny Wells as his brother Luigi, running their Brooklyn plumbing business and getting into sitcom-style shenanigans with celebrity guest stars. These segments were wrapped around a cartoon that brought the game world to life, even if it was in a very loose and often bizarre way. The show was a hit with kids and cemented Mario's status as a beloved character. It was campy, it was goofy, and that theme song rap is something 80s kids will never forget. 2 more animated series followed, based on Super Mario Bros. 3 and Super Mario World, proving Mario's appeal was bigger than just a controller. With TV conquered, Hollywood came calling. In 1993, the live-action Super Mario Bros. Movie hit theaters. Hopes were high, but the result was a disaster. The film ditched the bright, cheerful Mushroom Kingdom for a dark, grungy cyberpunk dystopia. Bob Hoskins, a fantastic actor, played Mario, but even he later called it the worst film he'd ever made. The movie was a critical and commercial failure, grossing just $38.9 million worldwide against a budget of around $48 million. For a long time, it stood as a cautionary tale of how badly a video game movie could go. It seemed like Mario's journey into other media had hit a brick wall. But back in the world of gaming, Nintendo was about to change everything. Again. In 1996, the Nintendo 64 launched, and with it came Super Mario 64. Just as Super Mario Bros. Had defined 2D platforming, Super Mario 64 wrote the playbook for 3D gaming. For months, Miyamoto and his team focused on one thing: making the movement feel right, having Mario run and jump in an empty digital space. The result was revolutionary. Players could explore large, open worlds, and the analog stick gave them a level of control that was unheard of. Super Mario 64 didn't just bring Mario into the third dimension. It established a new language for 3D game design that developers still use today. It proved that no matter the tech, no matter the dimension, Mario was still king. This leap from 2D side-scroller to a fully 3D world is one of the most important moments in gaming history. And it's a testament to the creativity that has always driven this franchise. What was your wow moment with Mario? Was it finding the first warp zone? Or was it the first time you pulled off a triple jump in Super Mario 64? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this trip down memory lane, make sure to subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss what's next. From the mid-90s onward, Mario's reign was undeniable. He wasn't just a character anymore, he was a brand. The Super Mario platformers continued to innovate, but the franchise exploded into every genre imaginable. There was Mario Kart, which redefined arcade racing. There were sports titles like Mario Tennis and Mario Golf. There were the massively popular Mario Party games, which could forge, or break, friendships in a single evening. And there were deep, charming RPGs like Paper Mario and Luigi. Mario has appeared in over 200 games, and with the franchise selling well over 800 million copies, it's consistently ranked as the best-selling video game franchise of all time. His cultural footprint extends far beyond games. 30 years after the disastrous live-action film, Mario returned to the big screen in 2023 with the Super Mario Bros. Movie. This time, Nintendo was heavily involved, and the result was a love letter to the fans. The animated film was a colossal success, shattering box office records. It became the first movie based on a video game to gross over $1 billion, finishing its run with over $1.36 billion worldwide. It proved that with the right care, Mario could conquer Hollywood. And now, Mario has even jumped into the real world. In partnership with Universal Studios, Nintendo brought the Mushroom Kingdom to life with Super Nintendo World. These theme park lands, which first opened in Japan in 2021, have since opened their gates in Hollywood and as a massive anchor of Universal's new Epic Universe Park in Orlando, which welcomed fans in 2025. Guests can punch blocks, collect virtual coins, and even ride a real-life Mario Kart. It's the ultimate expression of the brand's power, a physical space dedicated to the joy that Mario has represented for decades. The story of Mario is the story of the video game industry itself. He began as a simple collection of pixels, a solution to the technical limits of his time. He was a carpenter named Jumpman, the hero of another character's game. But through constant innovation, a commitment to fun, and an uncanny ability to evolve, he became so much more. He helped the industry survive a crash, defined both 2D and 3D gaming, and built an empire that spans every form of media. From his accidental naming after a Seattle landlord to his status as a global pop culture icon, Mario's journey has been nothing short of extraordinary. He is a symbol of creativity, resilience, and the universal language of play. He wasn't the first video game character, but he is arguably the most important, the most recognized, and the most beloved. He is a plumber, a hero, a superstar. He is Mario. And his game is far from over.